Okay. Good morning, world. How are we today? Okay. Few things. Today. Or like, yeah. Look, we're not going to talk about what's going on in the Middle East and Trump saying that he's going to shoot and kill anything from Iran if it tries to go through the blockade that they've made, that somehow Iran got, billions of dollars worth of oil through. We're not going to talk about all that. What we're going to talk about is on topic with the video that I made yesterday, that I uploaded yesterday. My oldest daughter, actually brought this topic up last night. We were talking about how she had this English assignment that they had to choose a topic and write an essay, about, right? And the topic that she had chosen was, basically about having resilience in your life, and trying to see things, in the most positive way that you can, not letting life get you down, and basically that it's a choice, no matter what's happening in life, that it's your choice how you respond to it and how you experience things, right? And I was really proud of her for that. I thought that was really, a great mindset, and it will get people far in life to have a mindset like that. If you can't think that way, if you're not thinking that way at the moment, then it's sort of easier for the world to tear you apart. It's easier for you to find yourself in a big black hole of misery, and self-destruct and all these sort of things, That's why it's so important to have resilience. It's really not given as much credit. It's just not talked about as much as it should be. And that's why, I think it's great that schools have adopted resilience as one of their core values. And not all schools, but my primary school age children, their school has, and I just think it's great. Anyway, and then her teacher, my oldest daughter's teacher, was using my daughter's essay as an example in front of the class, not as oh, look how great she's done type thing. It was what she was doing was analysing the piece, analysing my daughter's, the concepts and the ideas that she was presenting in her essay. And then the teacher had said to my daughter, basically I'm not quoting here, I'm saying it differently, but she was basically saying, yeah, but what if the world is just crap? What if the world is just bad? And initially I was well, that's a really stupid thing of your teacher to say, that's her kind of counteracting the messaging that you were presenting in your essay, but then I thought, oh, well, maybe she's just trying to make my daughter, respond to that argument in her essay, change some things and respond to that argument, because, you maybe she should include, a paragraph or so in there that talks about, while there can be terrible things that happen to you in your life, And while there can be catastrophic events and things that go on in the world, it's still very valuable. It's still very important to, continue having a positive mindset and a resilient attitude towards life, because otherwise you can be destroyed by it too easily. Like maybe she was just sort of saying that, quote, my daughter needs to address that part of it, but yeah, so I was just like, we were talking about all of that, and I need a sipper. Oh, it's too hot. Yeah, and then so I think it's a good conversation. I think that resilience and just a positive mindset is really important. I think it's a good conversation to have with your kids. My oldest daughter is turning 17 this year, so for any age it's important, but if you can teach your children about resilience enough that when they're a teenager, that's the argument that they're presenting in an essay, like that's how they view the world, that's what they are thinking it's the best way to go about life, then you've done well. I would say you've done well if your teenagers are having that mindset, and that's what they're going off into the world as an adult with, as a tool in life. And I'm not saying that all my children are going to have a great, no problems in their life ever, because I've spoken to them about being resilient and not letting things get them down, and dusting yourself off and getting back up, and never giving up, just keep trying, and just saying that if you're not ever taught those sort of things, if you're not ever kind of drilled that in, then maybe you do find it harder. Maybe the world does get you down more often than not, and yeah, anyway, and I just wanted to, so because of the video yesterday, what I was talking about, things that are going on around the world, don't have to interfere with the truth that you are important, I am important. Individually we're all important, and when things are going on in the world, it doesn't have to stop everything. It doesn't have to shape your life. You know what I mean? Like, people, I was talking about this with my daughter last night too. Sometimes the world can seem really unfair because this person is born here in this place and lives a life with these circumstances, and this person is born over here and lives this sort of a life with these sort of circumstances, and everything in between. And you can think to yourself, well, the world is really really unfair, really unjust. Why should it be that these people get to live this way over here and these people have to live this way over here? Why is it that there are rich, powerful, privileged people all over the world, not just in Western countries either? And then there are people who live in, tent cities. Then there are people who are homeless, and, people who, despite every, goal and ambition and dream and hope and good intention that they have, don't seem to be able to achieve anything near what somebody who perhaps was born into money and power and wealth can achieve, and I can absolutely see how unjust the world seems when you look at things like that, right? But, something I always think about as well is, and this, might upset people, this might be controversial, but this is just something that I think about, maybe it's like to comfort my own self. Maybe it's just something that I just innately know, but hear me out. What if you are born into what bubble, what sphere, what space you are born into? Because in this life, your journey, your purpose is to walk in those shoes. And my purpose, my journey is to walk in my shoes. And it does no one any good to worry about who's walking in what shoes. You're just supposed to worry about what shoes you're supposed to be walking in. And yes, of course, as always, as I always say, yes, have empathy and try to help other people as best you can. But I think that it is a misunderstood thing, or a misguided thing, to think that everyone should be living exactly the same. Maybe there are like life cycles, and maybe you're reincarnated and you have to live the life that you're living with the circumstances that you find yourself having to live with, because you have important work to do. Maybe it's so that you can learn particular lessons. Maybe it's so that your soul can develop in particular ways. I really do believe that this place is a school, and like not just a fun house, not just a playground. And I think that people who are walking really tough roads, and maybe they don't even have shoes to walk in, maybe they're barefoot, maybe that's their important work for their soul, And again, my life hasn't been perfect. I know that it sounds like I'm really arrogant right now, or ignorant, or detached from reality of everyday people. That I can tell you right now, I am not. Okay, I have actually walked very extremely hard roads in my life. I have actually often thought that, I should sit down with a laptop and write my life as a book. Because, I'm not saying like I've had the worst life out of anyone, obviously. I'm just saying that, you know, sometimes people find it comforting to read about the tragedies and the trauma that other people have lived through. You know, maybe it's relatable to them, but also maybe it is a tool to give them faith that no matter what they're facing, you know, they too can, you know, dust themselves off and get back up. And it's just like what I've been saying with everything that's been going on lately. You don't have to be ashamed to still try to live your best life for you and your family, because there is tragedy and destruction going on in the world. You know, we are all, every single one of us is affected in some way or another, or many ways or another, by lies from the government and by evilness from powerful people and by absolutely psychotic and sociopathic behaviors of the people running the world. I mean, if that's not enough to make you realize that you need to just do your best to enjoy your life, whatever path you are on, whatever journey you are on, whatever shoes you are walking in. You know, you can turn, you know, I think you could potentially turn any situation into a joyful one. And I know that there is help out there for everyone. Sometimes it's a stranger. Sometimes it's a community house. Sometimes it's a local organisation. Sometimes it's a national organisation. There is help out there if you engage with it, you know? And I know that certain circumstances as well make you feel very isolated and you don't want to reach out for help. That's the biggest problem. But that's also you holding yourself back from bettering your own life. If there's help out there, then you need to reach out for it. You can't curl up into a ball. You can't curl up into a shell and be like, no, I hate the world and the world hates me, and that's it. That's just it. You know, because I can tell you, I've been there too. Okay, I've been there too, where I have isolated myself away from everyone and everything, even to the extent of you know, like what's it called, like being self-destructive towards friendships and things like that, because I wanted to push everyone away because of things I was going through. Anyway, yeah, so I understand it all. Okay, and if anyone wants to chat, reach out in the comments. You know, I'm happy to talk privately through the email as well. You know, if you've got situations happening that you would like just a friend to talk to, you know, reach out. Yeah, you know, I don't want to bring things up and, you know, open up wounds with people, you know, and then you're left feeling all down in the dumps the rest of the day. Like, this messaging is supposed to be positive and inspiring and, you know, encouraging you to get up, dust off, and make the best of what journey you find yourself in. You know, we really have to continue this messaging of resilience, and not letting the drama of the world by evil sociopaths drag us down. Okay, because we all still have to, like, acknowledge that this life is supposed to be a blessing. Okay, it might be a school, it might be to learn lessons, and some of those lessons are really hard and uncomfortable, but it's still a blessing to have that opportunity, you know? You could just be nothing. You could just be blank space. Just saying. All right, I gotta go. Bye.